Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. Don't forget to smile. As you look radiant as you are the queen of your Nile, wake up, beautiful. It's time to spread your wings. Open up your window and hear the songbirds as they sing. Good morning, good morning, good morning, gorgeous ladies, on this Saturday. We want to thank you for joining us for your Saturday dose of inspiration. Today we have Tiffany Kelly-Williams of FitTeach joining us today. So first of all, good morning,
Good
gorgeous.
morning, gorgeous.
So Miss Tiffany, thank you so much for joining our podcast on today. The first thing we would like to ask you is tell us a little bit about yourself so the viewers can get to know you.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiffany Kelly-Williams. I'm actually a newlywed. I got married during the pandemic.
All
so
right.
about 2.5 years or so. And so I really, it's been a journey. That's been an interesting journey during the pandemic, actually. But first and foremost, I always say that I am a child of God. I am his daughter. I wouldn't be here if he didn't say so. I always say that he placed me on this earth to fulfill an assignment that only I can fulfill. So I always say a place of gratitude that he chose me for this particular assignment. And so that's who I am first and foremost. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. If you don't hear my accent in there somewhere, a little something, mixed with now a little bit of Southern drawl because I've been in Georgia for like 17 years. And so I live in an area called Jonesboro, Georgia, which is about maybe 20 minutes or so outside of the metro Atlanta area, going south. I moved here for a change, and I don't regret not 1 minute of it. I lived in an area in Brooklyn called Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. We're very famous for many different things. Some of the artists like Jay-Z and Biggie Smalls came from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And so I'm really proud to be a Brooklynite. I am the daughter of Fred Wright, the late Fred Wright Jr., and my mother is Barbara Williams. And so my father was an entrepreneur. So as a kid, I grew up running businesses for my dad. And so we had a laundromat, dry cleaners, catering hall. I helped run 3 apartment buildings. So when other kids in high school were going to, games after school, I was going to the bank with checks in my book bag. So,
All right now.
deposit checks from collecting rent and, work, fixing commercial washing machines and all kinds of stuff. And so my childhood was very interesting. I was like his right-hand girl. And so I'm also, I also did a lot of work in the church growing up as an usher and things like that. I am currently the women's ministry leader of Living Faith Tabernacle Church in Forest Park, Georgia. I have an amazing team of women who help me to create experiences for women that help them to walk in their calling. And so I'm really blessed to have that opportunity. I am also a godparent to many. I have godchildren. I don't have any children of my own. I'm almost 47. I never had children of my own, but I have a lot of children who I have been their godparents to. I have nieces and nephews. I have one in particular godchild who's 22 who drives me crazy. She lives in my home. I love her to death, but it's been an experience being a parent in a sense to a 22-year-old. And so I am a 22-year educator. I have been in education for 22 years, and I've only served in elementary schools. I have a love for the K-5 band. And for the past 13 years, I have been an academic coach with a focus on mainly improving mathematics, but I've worked across all content areas. And so this year, I'm really excited that I only have to do K2 this year because I made a decision after they hired some new folks. I said, I'm gonna give that to them. I want K2 math. I'm good. And so I love being able to grow teachers and help them to improve their craft and provide resources that allow them to give the best to our children because they deserve that. So that's why I have stayed in this role for so long. I've had many opportunities to be a principal, assistant principal. I've kind of been in those roles, kind of like a pseudo administrator. I've ran summer schools and things like that, but I enjoy being able to help teachers grow, but not on the punitive end. And it also allows me to run my businesses because I am the owner of 3 businesses, But the main one I'm focused on now is FitTeach, which is a health and wellness business that mainly helps educators. So I work with school districts to help improve the wellness of educators through workshops, keynotes if possible. Sometimes fitness, because I also have a fitness background as well. But I do a lot of coaching. I'm the author of 7 books, and so
Go.
one in particular is Cooking Healthy with Tiffany, and that was one of the main ones that has got me a lot of traction. So I've done stuff like I had a series of cooking shows on Facebook Live that led to the cookbook. And so I've used that as a tool to talk about healthy eating. And so that's been one of my biggest things. I've spoken at several, I'm an international speaker. I've spoken on international platforms. I've been a speaker for conferences, workshops, retreats, things like that. And then my other business is Tiffany Inspires, which is mainly helping women on their self-care journey, women over 40. Because things change after 40, y'all. I don't know how old y'all are on this line, but
over
I know
40.
I'm 53.
Look, y'all look good too, because I know for me, at almost 47, stuff started changing. I said, dang, am I gonna need glasses soon? You know, so I mean, I'm blessed. I thank God for getting this far. I have friends who didn't make it this far, who have passed away. And so I am really thankful for that gift. So Cooking Healthy with Tiffany is part of Tiffany Inspires, and Tiffany Inspires has been the longest, the oldest business. And I've done things like fitness events and for women, speaking engagements, workshops. Tiffany Inspires I did a brunch last year called I Choose Me, around helping to bring awareness around women taking care of themselves. And then Cooking Healthy with Tiffany featured foods from there. So, you know, things like that. So I have another brand called Yummy Jars, which is now on the shelf because when my father died, I just didn't have, it takes a lot of willpower to prep those jars and ship them out to people and get them out. And so that business was where I have healthy salads and parfaits and jars. And people have been asking for me to bring it back.
Love it.
So my goal is to bring it back at some point, but I have to have a staff this time because I was averaging 50 plus jars on a weekend.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
That's pretty much that business, but that's pretty much me in a nutshell. My hobbies include stuff like hair, makeup, anything that's pretty, anything that's gorgeous. I like to thrift. My hair looks different than my pictures because this is my 1-year journey almost to being sister locked. And so, but I still love my wigs. Occasionally, I make custom wigs in my free time for fun. It used to be a business, but I decided to do it for fun after a while. But yeah, that's pretty much a little bit.
Wow.
You have one incredible resume. You have a lot going on. Do you sleep?
Yes, I do sleep. And let me tell you, as part of my self-care this day, I just totally unplugged. Like, I'm not going nowhere. Like,
sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to. I'm learning now I love what you said, like, I choose me, because that's kind of where I've been. Actually, it's funny you said that because I created this thing that said, I choose she. But it's important because of, I can tell whenever I have a lot of craziness happen around me that I need to unplug. I shut off everything. I shut off my phone and I say, okay, it's time for some quiet time. And I try to give myself that because that is important.
Absolutely.
But I think probably everything you have listed could be a podcast in itself. It's really good.
Yes.
And I think as we start talking more about the healthy foods and stuff, we need to have you come back on for sure. I think that'd be great. But as it relates to FitTeach, because I would love to hear more about that. I'm an educator myself. I like to call myself a non-traditional educator. I like saying that because, there's we learn every single day, right? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be in a classroom. It doesn't have to be in front of a book. It doesn't, like we can use experiences and to draw from, and we really learn a lot off of our experiences. And I'm really big on making everything an experience. But as it relates to FitTeach, what made you go into this form of educational fitness?
So FitTeach started a couple years ago because FitTeach is a health and wellness solutions business. So I go into school districts and help them create solutions to help slow down teacher attrition rates, absenteeism, teacher burnout, because that's happening across the country, even in other countries. Let's just say that they are also experiencing that. And so, if I back up a little bit, how FitTeach started, I can't tell you about FitTeach if I don't tell you about my journey.
Yes.
So, as you heard me share in the opening about me being my father's right hand person, growing up and things like that. So growing up, I was like the superstar in my family. I'm the oldest of 7 grandchildren on my mother's side. And so I was the person that everyone always looked to solve problems. And so growing up, I was the one, like my father, I ran business for my dad, but I also was still working my day job. I was going to college. I was doing this. And there was back then no discussion around your own self-care, preserving self. And so I remember when I got this job, I worked for our local council member, and I was still running my father's businesses. And at this time, my father had just renovated our catering hall. So now we would book every weekend. Okay. Like every weekend, there was something going on. So my social life was kind of like on an all-time low. And so, but around when I finally decided to break away, and because my father was like, he depended on me. And so that meant that other people weren't really allowed to come into the fold to work for us, because he was big on protecting his money. And so during this time, I had just started working for this other company, and I was coming home from a trip, and I felt sick. And I was like, no, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Even before that, I was coming from working at the previous job, and I was like, I don't really feel good. I was having I was hyperventilating. And so I went to the urgent care, and the lady says to me, "How did you get in here?" She said, "Do you know your pressure is 200 something over 100 something?" I was like,
wow.
She said, "You're on the verge of a stroke right now." And I was about 20. At that time, I was 24. Wow. And I was like, wow, no. And so she gave me, I left that day. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. And I left that day with my first script for medication. And of course, you being young, you still doing what you normally do. My habits didn't really change, but now I got this medicine that kind of helped me keep my pressure down. So I guess I'm good. There was no education around what this meant. And I guess also in my family, like my mom had high blood pressure. So it's kind of like, okay, it's hereditary. They say you keep it pushing. And so over the course of some years, I would continue these same activities. I became an educator, still not taking care of myself. And when I decided to move to Georgia in 2000, I think it was 2005, I was already like at 230 something pounds. And I was trying to lose the weight. I would try different things, but nothing was really working because I would go back to the same old habits. I moved down here now. I don't really know. I have no friends here except for the people I meet at my job. I'm living with my cousin. And now I'm not feeling well again. Now I go to urgent care. Now my pressure is still high. Now it's just like before, but now I'm on a medication. So now here it is. Now I'm like 20, 28, I think at this time, 20, 26, somewhere around there, 27, 28. And I'm giving a script now for a second medication for high blood pressure. So now I'm on 2. And so during this time, being away from home, being lonely, trying to get acclimated to a new lifestyle, not having my mom around and things like that, my dad to rely on, I began to turn to food. And so now it's like I got these meds, but I'm still leaning on the food. And by this time, I'm like now 260 plus pounds, y'all. And it was rough. And I'm still battling my pressure. But I went to a conference with coworkers in St. Louis. And on the way coming back home, she told this story about how her mom passed away. And I was like, well, how did your mom pass away? And she was like, well, my mom had high blood pressure and she had other things, but she was taking medications. And over time, they caused her to have other issues with her organs and other ailments, because, you all have side effects. Yeah. So I'm sitting here now, I'm in my 30s at this point. I'm like, I don't want to die. Wow. And so I said, I don't want to die. I don't have, I know I got more to give. And so I got off the plane that day and I said, I got to make a change. So long story, to cut the story down, I ended up losing the first 20 pounds on my own. And I got a trainer who helped me begin the real journey, the real deeper work, because there was more work to do. I discovered that I was an emotional eater, and I turned to food to comfort me, in whether it was good or bad. And so But along that journey, as I started losing the weight, people started noticing. So now my coworkers are asking me questions and things like that. So later on down the line, I got into health and wellness coaching for women. And so that was kind of where it started as far as me coaching women and wellness. And a lot of them were educators. And some was informally. But in 2014, my principal, who was like my mother away from home, passed away. She had conjunctive heart failure, and it really took a toll on me because she was like my mother. Like, you know, I worked with her like more out like 12 hours a day sometimes. Like we would be there all night.
Right.
And so I watched her die. Like her anniversary of her death is November the 7th. And so it was sad because, you know, she had just retired after 37 years with the school district.
Wow.
And she was only out 6 months after her retirement, and didn't enjoy the 37 years that she put in, you know, and that was the beginning of me saying, okay, how do I help other educators? And as a coach, because people saw my journey, they would ask me questions all the time. Well, Tiffany, how do you cook this? How do you do this? And because I lost most of the weight on my journey in the classroom as a teacher. And so people want to know, well, how are you juggling this as a classroom teacher? And then when I became a coach, now I got access to all these teachers. So now I'll coach you on instruction, but we talking about health and wellness too, girl. You know you shouldn't eat that, right? Let's talk about some better things you can choose. Right. And what ended up happening is in 2017, I became sick. In March of 2017, I was really overwhelmed. And it was probably due to because in 2015, I lost my house in a fire. I lost everything. I was away taking care of my dad, who I just had found out had dementia really bad. So I didn't sleep for 2 months to come back home to no house. I lost a relationship that year. I was still grieving the death of my principal. And so the next couple of years, because every year during the summer, I would go care for my dad. And every year I would go, it was a decline in his memory. And to the point where sometimes he didn't know who I was. And so in 2017, in that year in March, I became really ill. And I was home for 30 days on medical leave. Wow. And so I'm laying in the bed and I'm thinking about myself as an educator. I'm thinking about my principal that died. I'm thinking about all the teachers that I've been talking to. And God gave me FitTeach. And so it was to help teachers to be fit. And then it wasn't until this past year that I got the acronym for FitTeach. Because, you know, God gives you stuff in pieces. You know, yes. Right, y'all? And so FIT stands for fulfilled, innovative, and thriving. Nice. So my goal as a wellness coach for educators is to help them be fulfilled, innovative, and thriving. You know, and the innovative piece is important too. And I always like to talk about that one first, because like when in terms of innovative, like we want teachers to be creative with our students and to do all these amazing things, but they gotta be fulfilled too. They have to be happy. They have to, you know, they have to feel wanted and appreciated. We want them to thrive. They have to be well, you know. So that's how FitTeach came about. It was to help change the health status of our educators so that we have well teachers in front of our students. And it was funny because now it's a big push around educator wellness, but I was ahead of the game 5 years ago and no one listened to me, y'all. No one wanted to hear me. And now you have all these folks trying to enter this whole game. And I'm like, I've been here since 2017. And so I just want to help more educators take better care of themselves, regardless of what's going on. Yes, some things are not in our control, but some things are. Yeah. And then this year, I have another workshop that I'm working on that's to talk to the leaders. What can you all do differently to help change what's happening in schools and what happens? Yes. Stop losing teachers, because we're losing people that's great talent and they're not coming back, y'all. They're like deuces. I'll go say welcome to Walmart before I come back and do this. Yeah. You know?
That's happening.
Yeah. Do something different. Yeah.
Because there's a shortage. I mean, there's a shortage of teachers, you know, throughout, you know, in every state. That's what a lot of states are dealing with: teachers, bus drivers. I mean, you know, workers in general. So you've got your specialists are going into the schools and they're having to teach. They're having to act as a sub. There's a shortage of subs, you know, within the school systems across the board. So definitely that has to be, you know, health and wellness, definitely for educators out there, along with, you know, coaching of the mind, you know, also. So within your journey, Tiffany, so when you're talking about losing the weight, so how much, if you don't mind sharing with our viewers on your journey, how much have you lost totally?
I've lost a total of 80 pounds. Okay, initially. That's my initial 80 pounds. Now, if I count when I competed, you might want to say 100. Because I also was I also did figure competition. You ever see the girls who are like all cut up like bodybuilders? So it's different categories. So you have the bodybuilders, you have the figure girls, and you have the bikini girls. So I'm in the middle. So the figure girls are the girls who look more athletic, but they're cut up. So they have a little less muscle than the bodybuilders, but a little more muscle than the bikini girls. And so it's a special diet. You have to go through a lot of different training. You have to step on with little bikini outfits and the heels and all that stuff. I actually qualified for nationals, but I just didn't do it the next year. It's a lot of work. And so if I count that, it would be 100 pounds. I could have to get smaller for that. I was like a size 0, y'all. Never again. But anyway, it was fun to do. It was fun to do though, but never again. And initially it's 80 pounds. It's 80 pounds. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And there were challenges on the journey. There's still, but one of the things that I try to tell people that I'm human, because you will have moments where life starts lifing, and I'm just having my scales a little more than what it should be, where I like it to be, I should say. And then I know what to do now. I have the tools to say, okay, Tiffany, let's reel it back in. Let's get back on track, and then you keep going. And so I want people to understand that, when you lose those pounds, that's the work is still there. You still have to maintain it, and you have to give yourself grace in those times in life during the journey where you may not be as active as you are, as you have been, but to know that you have the tools now to get back on track and keep going. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It's exciting to hear everything that you're offering as a health and wellness coach, and especially with the FitTeach, because it's definitely needed in our school districts. Teachers are drained and exhausted. And for many of them that love the work that they do, they just can't figure out how to come out of it. Yep. So having someone with the expertise that they don't necessarily have to leave the thing that they love to do to be able to get out of it and feel better about coming to work every day is so incredibly important. So yeah, my hats off to you for this. I think this is incredible.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And my biggest thing is that, just getting more districts and schools to see the value in what I have to bring to their community.
Yeah.
It's been one of the biggest challenges in this particular business is getting people to call you back, getting people to read your emails, getting people to say, hey, we need you to come do a year-long program with us. Sitting down at the table and strategizing, how do we make this fit for your school and your school culture and those things. And so when I tell you this has not been an easy journey with FitTeach trying to get in schools. For example, being in Kentucky, that was one of my first biggest door openings really for this new season of FitTeach, because it has been really challenging to get districts to say, okay, we want to pay for you to come, which is interesting, but we'll pay for professional development. But what good is that if we have sick teachers and they don't show up to work, or we have no one there?
Well, and this is a form of professional development. This is professional development.
And I've had a situation, ladies. I've had a situation with a school district where I was told, well, we didn't expect to pay that much for this type of professional development. And I'm like, okay, so how much did you expect to pay for this professional development?
Wow.
Okay, we will give these big companies thousands. We're talking about 30,000, 50,000, whatever thousands of dollars to bring in professional development workshop around reading and math and so forth. But when we talk about preserving the life of a teacher, people like me and what I offer, it's like it falls on deaf ear.
Yeah.
But if you don't preserve teachers and you don't make them really feel that you understand what they're dealing with and make a change, we're not going to have qualified talent around.
You're right. I think, as this, Good Morning Gorgeous grows and we have more folks, tuning in and either listening or watching, there may be some school districts or even other teachers to say, hey, I wouldn't mind, pitching it to our school district.
Absolutely.
To have you come out. how would they find your information or know how to contact you?
Yes. They can go to FitTeach.com. There's a link that says connect with us, and you fill out the form and it will send me an email. Some people follow me on social media at FitTeachHQ on IG, and I have a whole link there where you can click the link in my bio, and it actually gives you some free tools as well if you go there. I just launched a new free self-care toolkit. So if you go to my bio on my FitTeachHQ IG page, Instagram page, it gives you like a whole drop down of all the things I offer to help educators on their wellness journey.
Thank you for that. And I'm sure, we'll have some folks go and check that out. And I do think that for districts, I think the more teachers that speak up and say, this is needed, this is professional development, because preserving your personal, mental, emotional health is important when you go in there and work with those kids every day.
Absolutely.
We have kids that are struggling and families that are struggling and going through so much. I'll say this really quickly because I'll never forget this, hearing this story of a principal who said that they were welcoming in kids in the morning as they get off the school bus. And a little girl got off the bus and came in. They welcome them every morning like they do going to breakfast. And the little girl said, my mommy died today. And or last night, or one of those, they said, what? My mommy died. And they came back to life. And they sent her on in for breakfast, but they called home to check. And true enough, it was a drug overdose, and they provided that Narcan. So, but for the child, the kindergartner, I think it was kindergarten, I don't want to say it wrong, my mommy died and came back to life. Now, this was a kid that was put on a school bus the next morning and brought in to learn, right? So you have the teachers and you have principals and counselors in the school and all these folks that have to nurture this child in learning with everything else that's happening in their home and around them. And you mean to tell me that the emotional and personal health of your teachers isn't important? Come on now.
Right.
Come on now. If you are expecting educators to shepherd children in a way that they need it so that they can properly learn, you have to pay attention to their emotional and their personal growth and health. And I think it's sad when school districts disconnected too, because they're very much one and the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the teachers, when they take that home with them, they don't leave that in the school building. When they go home, there are teachers, I'm quite sure, that think about where they've had situations in the classroom where a student has come and shared something with them. I remember when I taught our children's ministry for 3 years. So I didn't leave that just at church. I brought that home, and I'm praying for those children because some of the stories that they shared with me, that impacted me as a teacher for for our children's church. And I prayed for those. And then I started a prayer box that they could put their prayers, and I would help them write their prayers. And they put their prayers in a prayer box. And we would start praying, before we started our class, during our children's ministry time. But I brought that stuff home with me. I didn't leave that at church, because when you have a passion for children, you can't just leave that there. You bring that home. And that same thing in education. Teachers bring that home. So they too need that. They need FitTeach, Miss Tiffany.
Yeah,
they do.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because my goddaughter, I didn't share this, but my goddaughter was a student in my previous school district. I didn't teach her, but when I became a coach in 2000, I think it was 10, whatever year that was my first year in that school as an academic coach. And she kept getting in trouble, and she was in 4th grade at that time. And so I used to have, outside of school, I was a mentor to girls. And my person who was my mentee had already aged out. So I didn't have anybody anymore. So I made her aunt enroll her in the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Atlanta program so that I could be her mentor. And she's been with me ever since.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I brought her home with me.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. That's a great story. Yeah, wow.
You don't know the story by itself, right?
And now she's the one that stayed with you?
Who stays with me.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, she's 22 now. And we've been through the whole journey together. You know, she's had a lot of different, you know, challenges growing up, but she was who I felt God assigned to me. You know, she's been in my life for a reason, and she's helped me in so many ways. And so, you know, we as educators, like you said, it doesn't stop at the school door. It sometimes it spills over. You know, we shop for kids. I have girls who now like 20-something years old who I used to go school shopping for them. Clothes, shoes, you name it, you know, because we care just that much.
Oh my gosh. I just received a message a couple of weeks ago. One of my former students who, after she had graduated, she had graduated, got married, and was having her first baby. And I couldn't make it to her baby shower. And I said, is there anything that you need that you haven't received yet? And she said, I don't have a baby bed. So I ordered her a baby bed and shipped it to her home. And a couple of weeks ago, she sends me a picture. She said, now I've had, with an infant in there, a little girl, and said, now 3 babies have used the same bed that you purchased for me.
All right.
Many years ago, all three of her children used that baby bed that was purchased for the first child. And that just, I said to her, that made my heart smile. Like, those are those things where, like you said, it doesn't stop when we're once we're out of the schools, or, you know, once we're done. And this is a program, I had this student many years ago. And, you know, just that one little baby bed, and all 3 of her children have slept in that one bed. And that just made me feel so good. But then I think about all the other, you know, all the other youth that I work with that had a lot of difficulties, and how you cannot turn it off when you care for them. You cannot turn that off. So being able to have something like this, where you pour into your teachers so that and your administrators, so that they can go out and do good work, is really what we need more of.
So Miss Tiffany, we thank you so much for your time. We have one final question I would like to ask you, and that is, from your experience with FitTeach, and is there something that you would like to share with our viewers and readers?
Sure. So it's funny because I have a quote that I always remind myself. It's a quote that by a young lady named Crystal Lee. So Crystal Lee is like she's a local disc jockey here. She's on, I think, the Christian gospel station. And one day I was driving in my car and she said this, and it made a lot of sense. It says, "Don't dig up in doubt what you planted in faith." Don't dig up in doubt what you planted in faith. So as a business owner, a lot of times people don't always understand your vision. You know, because, like, again, I said in the beginning, there's an assignment that I've been given, you've been given, that only you can do. Because God assigned it to you, and only you can do it the way you are supposed to do it, right?
Yes.
It's your assignment on this earth. And so what I want to encourage you with, if you're someone who has a vision, who has a dream, has something that you know that God gave you that you're supposed to do. Like, even as a business owner, I have been told, well, you should do blah, blah, blah. I don't understand. No. You don't understand what I've been given. You don't understand the vision and the nuggets that God drops to me in my quiet time. And so sometimes we can get distracted, or we can get discouraged, or we can get thrown off by what other people may be telling us, but they don't understand who above is talking to you. And so when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, don't dig up in faith, don't dig up in doubt, because you're doubting because someone else is now planting those little seeds in your head that you can't do this. Oh, that makes no sense. Oh, I don't think that's gonna work. That you planted in faith. Planted it in faith because you know that that's what you were told. And so sometimes on this journey, even as like I just shared with you all this morning, there are challenges in this business, but because I know that this is what I'm supposed to do, and I have receipts, go back and get your receipts, that where people have told you about how what you're doing has impacted their lives. That's when you know you have to keep going, even when it gets hard, because there's something that you have been called to do. And don't dig it up in doubt, because someone is dropping some seeds that you don't need to water. Keep moving in faith, knowing that it's what you've been called and asked to do. And so that way God gets the glory and all.
Wow.
Yes. Woo, thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
So good.
That's powerful. That is powerful. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Wow, that's some good stuff. You have given us
This
a
is God
lot of
above.
good stuff. Ooh, thank you.
That's just God above. When I get on any call to talk, to speak at an engagement, I say, God, may your word speak through me. Less of me, more of you, that the word that you give to me are in season for the people you have assigned to me in this space, because I can't do this without him. So the words that I speak come from him, I'm just the vessel that he's using.
Yes.
So I just thank y'all for this opportunity to share what he gave me to share today.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That was incredible.
Yes, thank you. So look, I'm trying to hold back my tears right now, but thank you so much, Tiffany. I will be in touch with you, letting you know everything. But we just thank you so much. And as always, every week as we end the show, we always tell everyone, please find yourself,
believe in yourself, and
and
love
love
yourself.
yourself. Thank you so much for
Thank you
watching, and
so
thank you
much.
so much, Tiffany, for being a part.